Howdy folks, Troy with 3 Twins to V8's coming back on the 240Z project. This is going to be episode number 5. And what we're going to do is we're going to patch some holes that I found in this rocker panel, and I'm going to show you how I make my patches. So let's get at it. So by now you're familiar with this project, hopefully. If not, please tune in. This is what we have here is some holes in this rocker panel. Now somebody made a patch over here which looks good, and I'm going to make a patch here, and I am going to show you how I make my patches. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make some measurements here. I'm going to tape this out so I got a nice square, and I'm going to cut this out of here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to shear us a patch with this 20 gauge sheet metal and my shear. And then what we're going to do is we're going to use this really cool tool, and we're going to step flange it so that when I weld the patch up in here on this area, I don't have a lap patch like this. I have a nice flat patch, and it's flush with the exterior, and I grind it over. So I'm going to show you how to do it. Okay, so the first thing I did was I established my area, and I made myself a measurement. I'm going to cut this out on this line, and then I'm going to make my patch just a little bit bigger, and I'm going to use my tool and create a step flange on there. So I'm going to show you how I'm doing this. I'm going to cut this out right now. You can see I'm beyond my rust spots. That'll get it out of the way. I'll have good metal to weld to, and let's get to it. So I've got my area cut out, and when I cut it, it's going to leave a burr on the back side. I don't want that burr because I want my metal to lay flush against there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this die grinder with a little stone on it, and I'm going to go around this whole inside edge like this, and I'm going to clean up that back side. That's going to do two things. It's going to get rid of that burr, and it's going to get rid of whatever rust I have on the back side of this panel, so my new piece makes a good contact. Now meanwhile, you can see the piece that I cut off, and these are the little holes, just so you get an idea of what rust really looks like. When you see a little blister on your panel, this is really what's going on the inside. You can see where it is a lot further progressed and a lot larger area on the inside, because most of the time body rot as we know it comes from the inside of the panel and works its way through. So by the time you see this, you've already got all this type of decay. Okay, so I cut my sheet metal with this hand shear that I got from Woodward Fab. It's supposed to be mounted to the bench. I don't mount it to the bench because I don't have a lot of room, and I can move this around anywhere I got a bench. I can set it on there, I can pick it up and carry it. It is heavy, but this way here I'm mobile. So anyways, what I did was I took and I sheared this piece of sheet metal. So as you can see right here, here's my hole, here's my sheet metal. Now, you'll notice that I sheared it here, and then I've got another mark. It's a 1/2 inch from the edge to this mark. This is where my flange is gonna be. So I'm gonna put a step flange on both sides of this, and it's gonna pull this panel up kind of flush with that. Now, the other thing is I want my other edge over here to be flush as well. So I'm gonna measure this out so I have a 1/2 inch flange, and then whatever else I'm just gonna shear right off. Then I can double step flange this on both ends, and this should pop right in there and be nice and flush. So let's get to it. Okay. So here's my hole, here's my patch with the 1/2 inch relief all the way around it. You can see it's pretty darn close. I mean, it's not quite perfect, but a little bit of finagling. Plus, this is flat. We need to have a little bit of an arc in it, but you can see the width there, and then you can see if you pan back, it's gonna fit here. So this square that I have inside of here is my actual patch piece. If you kind of put this here, you can kind of see where it is, with the exception of where the cutoff wheel removed the material. That's my patch. So now I'm going to take my flange tool, and I'm going to put a flange all the way around this so it fits into that hole. So I want you to see this. See how this steps like this and then back up? This is how my flange tool is working. It's flanging this like this as it hits every single time. So all I'm doing is taking, and when I squeeze this, it closes the jaw. What's nice about this is it makes holes on the other side. I'll show you that in just a minute. But I can just go along and just keep hitting this, and it walks this edge all the way along. So I'm going to go all the way around, and then we're going to fit it on the car. Okay, so I got my patch double flanged, and I've actually bent an arc into it so that it has the contour of my my rocker panel here. So right now, if I lay this on here, I am in pretty good shape. It's pretty flush. Here's my panel area. So what I want to do now is I want to make a series of holes in here so that when I put my piece in here, I can weld it from the back side. And the way I'm going to do that is by using my handy dandy tool that I have here. I can punch these holes. There we go. So now we've got a hole. And then as you can see, my patch is going to come in like this, and I'm going to be able to make a plug weld right there. So I'm going to make some holes, punch some holes all the way around this, and get this ready to go in here, and then I'm going to show you how I get it in there. Okay, so I've got my holes all punched all the way around so that I can tuck this up in here and plug weld from the back side. But once I get it in here, how do I hold it? The way I'm going to do it is I'm going to drill a couple of 1/8 inch holes in here, put a couple of sheet metal screws in there so that I can pull on this when I tack weld the outside. Once I'm done with that, I take my sheet metal screws out, weld up those holes, and it's a done deal. So I drilled 2 holes, I put these 2 screws in here. Now, I can take my piece, put it right in here like this, and I can't hold the camera and do this, but you can kind of surmise what's going to be happening here. I'm going to get this flush right here like it is there, and I'm going to apply some pressure outwardly, and as you can see, I'm pretty well flush. I'm going to hit this with a MIG welder and intermittent spots and weld this panel flush in there, and I will show you what happens when I am completed. So we've got our patch welded. We're going to let that cool down, and then we're going to grind it smooth, and we probably have a couple of small pinholes maybe that we can see through. We'll hit those again with the MIG welder, make sure that it is completely sealed off, and then we'll spray some anti-corrosive primer on the backside. One of the things that I did forget to tell you was I use this product here, SEM Zinc Weld. I spray that. It's a weld-through primer. So you spray it on the back side of your panel, you spray it where the panels contact each other, and you can weld right through it, and it seals this whole flange here with this zinc primer, so it has a tendency to protect it from any rust. When we are done with this car, there will be holes in the bottom of this panel somewhere, or in the inside, where I will spray a rust proofing on the inside of this to make sure it doesn't rust again, at least not in my lifetime. I use Rust Freeze cavity wax, and it does a great job. Here's our patch, it's complete. You can see what we got going on here. She's nice and flushed up. If anything, you want any of your areas to be, you don't want any high areas, because that way there, when you do any filler work, that's going to poke out, and you're going to have to knock it in with the hammer, and you don't want to really have to do that. So make sure all your areas are either flush or maybe a tad bit low, and that's where we're at. So I'm going to continue on here, and I'm going to move up to the high side of the quarter there and fabricate a patch and get that quarter panel squared away. So thanks for tuning in, and good luck on your project.